anyone who uses makeup or a filter when they're putting themselves out there online to the public would probably have somewhat of a similar underlying emotion, I would imagine, which is like how they want to look to the outside world. Like, well, this is how I want to represent. This is how I want to present myself.
Well, it's not wrong either, because, we're rewarded for that in society. There's pretty privilege. The better you look, the more attention you get, the more brand deals you may get. You get more exposure. It's currency in the society.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, I do it all the time. I'm like, I would love to be on Instagram and be like 100% never filtered. But of course, there's performance time, especially coming from a beauty space where every post is curated. Everything is perfected, especially when you're working with beauty brands who are very clean and luxury. Like, they have an image they want to portray and you have to adhere to it. So it's just like a constant mix of like trying to find your voice and identity and using makeup as a medium and as a tool. It's an art form. But then also staying true to yourself, but also and using it as a form of like connection and ritual versus concealing and covering because you dislike something. So it's an interesting line and approach to working with the product. What was your thought just before that? Because I feel like
we were talking about AI and then we got off talking about makeup.
Yeah, and I always do it. Always looking
to somehow we always end up talking about. But here's what I'll say about AI too. I do think, like, for me personally, your question to me was, how do I use it? Well, I think the first version of it I ever used was probably a filter. But back then I wasn't connecting it with like, oh, this is AI. I'm using AI. I was just like, ooh, filter. This looks nice. Use it.
It makes you feel pretty. You're like, wow.
But
I would say a dog too.
I guess. But I would say now how I'm using it, I mean, it's great to use it in work. So like when you and I are finding great ways to structure some episodes, I think that it's a really efficient tool to be able to schedule things, and you can kind of like thought dump into ChatGPT and then get some more like structured and clarified answers. So I would say I use it a lot for that now. But what's interesting and what I'm finding the most compelling about it is that you really can create an emotional bond with something like ChatGPT.
You feel so seen.
Yeah, because
people are for sure going to be having sex with robots. 1,000%.
Oh my gosh, can you?
It scares me.
That creeps me out.
I know.
But yeah, I think that as a female, and I saw something saying like women are creating more of an emotional bond with their use of AI than men are. And that totally makes sense because we're emotional beings. And and I feel like with ChatGPT specifically, what you put in is kind of what you get in return. So like I'm sure that women are thought dumping more emotional verbiage into the system. So they're going to get more of an emotional attachment response back. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think that it can be utilized in so many great ways. I've also heard some absolute horror stories about how it's being used. So that's a little frightening. But personally, I'm using it, I would say, to just like for efficacy and efficiency within my life now.
Do you find it's like altering the way that you think and the way that you're outputting your own information? Because, there's obviously that warning being like, oh, your brain's going to get lazy. AI is going to do all the thinking for you. I think like in terms of skill set, like grammar and writing.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, I feel like the one thing that has changed for me is from using AI is some of the language that I use. It's a little bit more specific.
Agreeable?
More what?
You're more agreeable to people now because AI is just like so agreeable all the time, right?
I can be quite brash, as we know, but I would just say it's more like the language is much more specific as opposed to
like direct, you're clear,
broad terms. Like, because when AI is giving you a response, it's giving you like such a detailed response, very specifically based on the content that you input. So I would say that my language has probably improved, really.